Okay. Good evening, all. I have 5:30. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and take a roll to see if we have a quorum. Roll call, Ms. Caldwell Wilson.
Present.
Mr. Harrison. Mr. Mushel.
Present.
Ms. Vaughn.
So I think the policy will help clarify that board members and directors.
Can somebody please mute themselves? Thank you. Ms. Vaughn. Ms. Wilkins.
Present.
And Ms. McBride. For the record, Ms. McBride called me moments ago to inform me that she would not be here at this time. She has a service to attend. At the present time, Mr. Kaloji, are you on the line?
I am.
Thank you. At the present time, Mr. Kaloji, I have 3 present, so I have no quorum.
All right, I'd suggest we wait maybe 10 minutes and take another roll.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Councilman Harrison.
Mr. Clerk?
Mr. Kaloji, it's you, right?
Yes, now that you're here, Councilman Harrison, we may have 4, we may have a quorum. I'm just trying to get the clerk back on. Thank you. I'll give him a call.
All right, thank you.
Oh, sorry, guys. I was actually talking while on mute, and I'm over here thinking somebody hears me. My apologies. I did hear you. I noted you for Mr. Harrison. I noted you here. I do have 4. Mr. Kaloji, I believe I have a quorum, correct?
You have a quorum. If the council president is not present, it's up to the majority of council to cast a vote to designate a presiding officer until or unless she appears.
Understood. Are there any nominations for presiding officer for this meeting?
Yes, I nominate Patrolman Harrison. Joe Harrison.
Okay, that's 1. Is there a second for Mr. Harrison?
I'll second it.
That's the second for Mr. Harrison. Roll call for Mr. Harrison as presiding officer. Ms. Caldwell Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Ms. Wilkins? Excuse me, Mr. Mushel?
Yes.
And Ms. Wilkins?
No.
Noted. I have 3 yeses and 1 no.
Wait a minute, I'm on the line. I'm just
Oh,
waiting.
Okay.
Sorry, I was
Thank you,
having
Ms. Vaughn.
technical difficulty once again.
Understood. Understood. Ms. Vaughn, we were in the middle of nominations for presiding officer. We have a move. It was moved and seconded for Mr. Harrison as presiding officer. Can I have your vote for that?
No. My vote is no.
Understood. I have 3-2.
Consistent with our ruling in the last situation, this is just a procedural vote for the purpose of appointing an individual to preside over the meeting. So it passes. Mr. Harrison will be the presiding officer unless the council president at some point comes in.
Understood.
May I interject a question, Mr. Kaloji, quickly?
Mr.
Yes.
Garcia, I'm sorry. May I speak?
Sir, yes, you may.
I don't know where Mr. Kaloji, all due respect, what statute that says that a council vote for its presiding officer, because that certainly is not in the council's rules of procedure.
Hold on, Ms. Vaughn, I'll read it to you. I have it right here.
No, of course you do.
If we had a vice president, our situation would be governed by our code. Since we don't have a vice president, it says in NJSA 40:69A-180, parens C, close parens. I'm reading the relevant portion. In the absence of the president, the council shall elect a temporary presiding officer.
Okay, but I'm speaking to the vote count, sir. The vote count is, I thought the vote count is consistent with we have 5 council members present. So the four votes is the majority vote that carries, not 3.
Well, we've run into some difficulty with the interpretation of this as well. As to substantive matters, including resolutions, including ordinances, and including motions, it's in our code that the majority of the full membership, which certainly would mean 4 votes, and it is also a statute that talks about ordinances. This is a preliminary procedural issue, and obviously the difficulty is if there's not 4 votes, if we required 4 votes under these circumstances, and we hold it to that to the substantive standard, we may not have a presiding officer, and we will have no meeting. So it was
okay, all right, that's fair. Let's move on. All right.
Mr. Kaloji, I'd like to also.
That's why I think we're doing it fine the way we're doing it.
I mean, I'd like to also interject for Mr. Kaloji, and for the record, Mr. Kaloji and I have had several conversations about this, but is your interpretation, Mr. Kaloji, that for everything else but this motion to have a presiding officer requires 4, but in this instance, it's the majority? Because I think in my interpretation of it is if the code says it requires 4 for affirmative vote of the council, that it requires a 4 for affirmative vote of the council for everything, including this issue here. And being that there's not 4, we don't have an agreement of the governing body to have Mr. Harrison serve as the presiding person of this committee.
I'm reading from Rule 8 of the quorum rules under A316, and this is obviously to deal with matters of substance, and it says a majority of the whole number of members of the council shall constitute a quorum. The whole number of members of council is 7, so it requires a minimum of 4. Then it says no ordinance, resolution, or motion shall be adopted by the council without the affirmative vote of a majority of all members of council, except in a limited instance where someone disqualified themselves because of a conflict. So I agree with you. If this was a motion, to appoint a vacancy to a position, something of significant substance, I would certainly agree it has to be 4. The problem is this is a largely procedural matter, and it doesn't even say, in the statute, it doesn't utilize the word motion per se. So, to some degree, we're just trying to inject some practicality into this. It's such a preliminary non-substantive issue. If we don't have a presiding officer, we can't have a meeting.
Well, again, and I appreciate that. I would just say respectfully that it's something I think needs to be addressed consistently now, because while it may not be a big issue with respect to having this meeting, it will very likely be a big issue with respect to resolutions where we have, for example, a 3-2 vote. So I think we can't just juxtapose.
I think on everything else substance, it's definitely 4. But it just says here, the council, in the absence of the council president, the council shall elect a temporary presiding officer. That's the verbiage from the statute. It doesn't say shall by motion elect a presiding officer, although it may be difficult to envision another vehicle. So again, I'm trying to just, in this sense, err on the side of common sense so we can have a meeting. If the council wants to keep it consistent with the motion requirement of 4, unless a council person is going to change their vote by way of reconsideration, then we'll only have 3-2 and we won't have elected a presiding officer. That's why I'm recommending we follow the interpretation I gave.
Thank you.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes, Mr. Harrison.
do we have any understanding why council president is not on this call?
The council president is attending a service at this time, so she will not be available.
Can I motion to have another one of my council members preside over the meeting?
Well, first we've got to come to the determination if council is going to accept, the version of interpretation I've given, then we're okay. If it's not going to accept it, then the motion has failed, and we would have to initiate another motion.
Mr. Kaloji, how do you propose I get the consensus of council for that matter?
Well, I mean, right now we're at a point where instead of voting, we're just kind of discussing it. I think everybody probably inclined to want to err on the side of having a meeting, and because the presiding officer's position is not going to alter the substance of whatever we do, that's my recommendation. I'll certainly listen to whatever Mr. Bridges, has to say on it.
Okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm sorry. I don't mean Mr. Bridges. I'm just going to, I appreciate, I agree with Mr. Bridges on this one, Mr. Kaloji. I mean, it's 4 votes or 4 votes, and that's majority, and we should apply that consistently, even in something that is, deemed to be administrative or procedural. But to align with my belief in Mr. Bridges' interpretation, or I think, to move on with the meeting, we have business. I will vote, I will change my vote and vote yes for Mr. Harrison to preside over the meeting. To have the 4 votes, or the 5 votes, I guess. I don't know.
That's fine. I think that's a prudent way to go.
All right, Mr. Garcia, could I withdraw my vote of no and put in a yes?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so,
Okay. So have we arrived at a affirmative vote for Mr. Harrison to be appointed as presiding officer at this time?
It would be 4-1 based on Ms. Vaughn's changed vote.
It would.
That's
So
how I
believe,
count it, but you're the clerk. You have to be satisfied.
no, I count the same. So if that's the case, and then I would, and there's nothing else from either attorney, then I would, on your call, Mr. Harrison.
Yep. Start the meeting, Mr. Garcia. Thank you very much.
Okay, meeting being started. Mr. Harrison, did you want to recite the statement, or would you like me to?
Would you please read it? Thank you.
Certainly. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act pursuant to Public Laws 1975, Chapter 231. This agenda is complete to the extent known and was sent to the Trenton Times, posted on the first floor bulletin board in City Hall, and filed in the city clerk's office. Formal action will be taken. Roll call. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Present.
Mr. Harrison?
Present.
Mr. Muschel?
Present.
Ms. Vaughn?
present.
Ms. Wilkins?
Present.
Okay. I turn the meeting over to Mr. Harrison. If you'd like to proceed with the agenda,
Yes.
we are at new business.
Yes, exactly. Proceed.
Okay, in proceeding, I'll move to the docket. We are at resolutions. We do have a consent agenda form. At this time, I will read the resolutions from that consent agenda. One moment, please.
Excuse,
Consent.
Chair,
Go ahead.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. Clerk, I think we have to approve the communications and petitions first.
My apologies, Ms. Caldwell-Wilson. I believe we do. You're correct. Is there a motion to approve the communications?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. I'll call the roll. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Ms. Wilkins?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Mr. Harrison, did you want to move to the consent agenda?
Yes, please.
Certainly. This consent agenda consisting of resolution 22350, 22368, 22354, 22355, 22356, 22357, 22358, 223 and 22359. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Caldwell-Wilson. I'm sorry, who was the second?
Ms. Vaughn. You can do Ms. Vaughn.
Michelle.
Oh, Michelle, Councilman Michelle.
Mr. Michelle. Okay, thank you. I'm sorry? I'll call the roll. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
I do know that
Yes.
If somebody could please mute themselves, thank you. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Ms. Wilkins?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on, Mr. Harrison, on your call.
Can we
Mr.
move
Harrison?
forward? Yes. Can we move
Certainly.
forward? Yes. Thank you.
We have our roll call resolutions from administration. We have resolution 22351, resolution awarding contract through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 19:44A 20.4XX to Mark Gialella for telecommunication services in an amount not to exceed $140,000 for a period of 1 year from August 1st, 2022 to July 31st, 2023, RFP 2022-21. Is there a motion?
Excuse me, Councilman Harrison?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Did you have the
discussion?
clerk move the screen? Because I can't see anything that he's talking about.
Yes. Could you
Oh,
move
sir.
the
Screen. Thank you.
Certainly. My apologies. We are at resolution 351. Councilwoman Wilkins, did you need me to read that again?
No,
Okay.
I just needed to be
Thank
on
you.
the screen to see what we were.
Certainly.
Yeah, that was roll, I'm sorry, so moved.
Is- Okay.
Second.
Thank you.
May I speak to that, please?
Certainly.
Yes.
Discussion, go ahead.
Okay. I had asked that to be roll call because I was concerned that this particular vendor, I think that we should have this tabled or amended for 90 days until we can this particular service has been given to this particular contractor for, repeatedly. And that is very concerning, and I'm not certain, what's going on. And I believe in reviewing the details of the contract in the resolution, it looks like this contract was already expired in March. So here we are at, September 15th. So properly, the contract should have been brought to us by the administration maybe as early as maybe July. So here we go again, allowing contracts to expire. And that means Mr. Gialella and his company has been operating without a contract, for a period of time. And now council is just getting it. So how was Mr. Gialella getting paid? There's so many questions. And here it is, another lapse in the procurement process in the city of Trenton. And this is becoming unacceptable. And we need to clean up our act, considering, all the investigations and subpoenas we have around procurement process. So I would ask that, either we vote on this and it fails, or we table it to get it corrected. And I would propose, and I know Mr. Gialella and his firm has done a great job for the city of Trenton, but everybody has to follow the laws. And everybody should work successfully to enforce them. We know whose job it is to do that statutorily, to enforce the ordinances of the municipality. We know whose job that is. And here we go, time and time again, the vendors, the people of the city, the council is subjected to folks not doing their job. Now, this should be an easy thing here that we should just vote yes for, but we can't because we see that the resolution in the contract has been executed in a problematic way because the contract expired at the end of August. So how was Mr. Gialella and his company getting paid? So I would just propose that we table this for extend it or amend it for 90 days until the administration can properly put this out to bid and perhaps consider other companies and show that the city of Trenton is a fair and open review its contracts fairly and openly and transparently, and everybody has a level playing field to compete on without bias, without favor. So I'm going to move to amend the contract for 90 days until the administration get their act together and fix this.
Ms. Vaughn, this is a motion to table for 90 days?
I would like to amend it, or extend it for 90 days. Can we extend it for 90 days? Because I don't want it to stop, because he may,
I don't think there's a mechanism to extend. The mechanism would either be, because you're dealing with the substance of the motion, it would be to table it for whatever period till the next meeting or whatever you're going to say in terms of what additional information is needed.
Mr. Kaloji.
But see, we can't table it because I just want to say quickly, we can't do that because the service, because of the mere service that it's providing, it's telephone service, telecommunications. So we can't shut down that service. I think we ran across this before with another contractor. I believe it was Trenton Animal Rocks, that we extended a contract until we were able to put it back out to bid or whatever. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Councilman Harrison, may I ask you just a clarifying question?
Yes.
Are we referring to 22-351?
22-351, yes.
I just wanted to provide a bit of clarification. Based on the title of this was put out to RFP. It's a resolution awarding a contract through a fair and open process. So when there's a representation that needs to be put out to bid, it was put out to bid. I just wanted to add that clarification.
Mr. Cruz, would you like to speak on this too?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colin Cherry is available to speak. He is the one that actually is in charge of IT, and he's ready to speak.
Thank you, Mr. Cherry.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This contract ended at the end of June. We were hoping to get this on in August, but as I'm sure everyone is aware, there have been some challenges in dockets filling up, and obviously our last council meeting was unfortunately postponed. So that's where we are now. We've been severely limiting the work that Mr. Gialella has performed to keep it under the threshold that we could just cut him a PO for. So he's only done emergency work since the expiration of his contract. We could not award this only for 90 days as the RFP cites a year. Council could obviously, if it is the will of council, choose to vote no on this, at which point we would not have telecommunications services, of course. But we did put it out to RFP. We received 2 responses. Both responses were similar in price, though Mr. Gialella is the lowest. The other one was $150,000. But the biggest difference the review committee felt was that the other respondent was proposing a more off-site consultancy service, and we felt that an on-site hands-on service like Mr. Gialella has provided was our best option. Again, it was out on the street for the 20-day period, and it was procured through a fair and open process.
Thank you, Mr. Cherry, for the clarification.
Councilman Harrison, can I speak?
Yes.
What I wanted to say, I heard what Mr. Colin Cherry said, stated with regards to the contract. We do need the phone services, and my concern is this. If it was something that expired in June, it probably should have gone out to bid sooner. We have to be more proactive. We speak with regards to contractors holding their pricing for 30 days, for 60 days, for 90 days. These have been various conversations that we've had previously and at other council meetings with the administration, in particular the Department of Administration, and also with the Department of Law, with Director West Bridges, with contractors holding their pricing. So this should have been something that was done on a more proactive basis. So now we're here in September. It's September the 15th. The contract you're saying is from August the 1st, but the contract ended in June. So if it ended in June, then Mr. Gialella was working without a contract, and we were paying him as a city without a contract, which is not legal. So therefore, I believe
it is legal.
Instead, I didn't interrupt anybody. I don't interrupt anybody. That was very, very rude. But what I was saying is that instead of the contract failing, because we do need the phone services, is it something that we can agree upon this evening that we do continue and extend from his original contract, which Mr. Cherry said was expired in June? I believe I'm going to assume the end of June. So we can do an extension maybe for 90 days for July, August, and September, or from August, September, and October, and then maybe revisit it again and send it out to bid. I understand it did go out to bid, but at the same time, the contract has a possibility of failing, because I don't feel comfortable voting on something from August the 1st, and we're in September, and that's the only concern. But I don't want the actual resolution to actually fail. So I'm thinking maybe we can come to some type of agreement here. We can extend and then go back and revisit the process again. Thank you. That's all I want to say, Councilman. Thank you.
Yeah.
Councilman Harris, may I respond?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not being
I have
prepared
my
for
hand
that.
up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go
Councilman
ahead. My apologies.
Wilson.
May I speak?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm finding it very upsetting that certain council members who chose not to show up at meetings are now all of a sudden wanting to delay the process of the city and our IT department. I think it's inappropriate, and I will not support tabling this, period. Thank you.
Is there any other comments?
Yes,
Yeah,
Councilwoman Vaughn.
Yes, Councilwoman Vaughn.
Okay, just for the record, I attended every council meeting. I was not able to finish the council meeting on August 1st because, and my attendance is better than the individual who just spoke over the past 4 years. I come to every council meeting, so I have attended, perfect attendance. So, and because I have a right, an obligation to raise a question, whether I attend or not, that rationale has to be the most idiotic I ever heard. So, and that individual knows that I have come to every council meeting. So that means she's disingenuous and she has no integrity. So, and no credibility, because most people who come to the council meetings know that Councilwoman Vaughn shows up.
Point of
No,
order.
I didn't interrupt you. I didn't interrupt you when you were talking about me.
Mr.
So
Garcia,
it's okay
Mr.
for
Garcia,
folks to talk about me, but when I respond, it's smack you
shouldn't be
down.
attacking
You got a
anybody.
problem.
Mr. Garcia, we should not be doing any of that. We're doing the document.
So anyways, yeah,
Thank
so yeah, okay.
Is there,
So Marge, you need to, and when you show up, at least I'm coherent when I show up.
Oh.
Okay, so please.
This is embarrassing.
So that's all I
Okay.
gotta say. And we can
At some
move. We can
point,
move
I'm
on.
Can we-
And either we have this fail or we amend it or table it. Which one do you want? If we have it fail or we properly make the amendments.
Mr. Chair,
Makes more sense.
if I may.
If I may chime in.
Go ahead, Mr. Garcia. Adam, sorry.
Mr. Harrison, on your call, is there?
Yes,
Mr. Chair.
Adam, did you want to speak? Did you want to speak, Adam? Yes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the issue on hand is actually the concern of council that this is going retroactively to August 1st. That is not a problem. If the concern is that we will change the date of this contract to commence on September 1st. It is nothing illegal. We are not doing an extension. We are providing the necessary services through a purchase order, which means we are not extending a contract that expired back in June. What we are doing is legal. We will do this resolution effective September 1st. And we can move from there, and then the concern is cured.
That sounds great. Do that.
And so I would like to amend the resolution on the record, if we may, and Mr. Garcia can perhaps just take notes that the date of the award will commence on September. Look at this. The resolution states that it will commence on August 1st, 2022. It can start on September 1st, 2022 and end on August 30th of 2023. And that will be the amendment on the record. It will go on the title of the resolution, and then it would also go on the fourth whereas, and that is it.
Is there a motion to approve as amended?
Excuse me, Councilman Harrison, I just want to
Yes.
make a statement with regards to what Mr. Cruz is saying. So what happens with regards to the money that he was paid from when his contract expired from June through the current? And if it's going to be amended, it probably should be amended for today.
That's fine. September, what's to the 15th?
What I'm saying is what happened with the funding that he was paid, because we did not approve that and he was paid.
Well, you didn't have to approve it. Council didn't have to approve it because we were procuring only regular services through a purchase order, not a contract.
Okay.
Wait a second, Councilman Harrison?
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Kaloji?
Yes.
Or Mr. Bridges? What is Mr. Cruz referring to that the process or a provision in the law or contract law that permits a government entity to pay a vendor once its contract has expired. Mr. Cruz just stated that the laws permit a government, Trenton, to pay a contractor who's no longer in contract once it has expired. And I just want to know what provision in the contract law that permits that.
I can't speak to that, Mr. I really don't know what.
Okay, well, this is what I would like. This is what I would like to be done because I want to be educated going forward. We don't have time to do it tonight. But Mr. Kaloji, can you and Mr. Garcia, can you validate the statement that Mr. Cruz just placed on the record that our government or this council can approve a contract and that the council does not have to approve expenses paid to a vendor that it is not aware that we're not aware that is not under contract, that does not have a executed contract in place.
I mean, not to put him on the spot, but Mr. Cruz seemed prepared to answer that. I don't know if he wants to give clarification to that now.
I want the statute. Okay, Mr. Cruz, if Mr. Cruz give a statute, that's fair. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's New Jersey Local Public Contract Law 40 column 11, and then it goes through from 1 through 16, and then you can look up the small purchase orders. No.
I want to know exactly that's a statute at et al. It has a lot of paragraphs, so I want to know the exact provision that states that. When what the exact provision. So if Mr. Kaloji, I'm going to defer to the legal experts here on that, because the New Jersey contract law is huge. I want to know where that paragraph is, the exact paragraph. So that says that. And Mr. Kaloji, can you come back to us on the 27th with that?
Yes, I can. I'll speak to Mr. Cruz and we'll come back with a response.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Garcia, what was the resolution number?
351.
Thank you.
22351.
And further to that, can we get, Mr. Cruz, can you provide the council the amount that was paid out to Mr. Gialella for that period, for that gap?
Yeah, that's not a problem.
Okay, yes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Garcia, we're going to take the vote with the modification, correct?
That's your call, Mr. Harrison.
Yes.
Is there a motion for I believe there was a motion for it as it is. Is there Mr. Kaloji, do we need a motion for it to be approved as amended? Mr. Kaloji?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so the motion and second, sir, for the item as amended, or do I need a separate motion and second for the resolution to be approved as amended? I'll ask for a motion for approval of the resolution 22351 as amended.
Correct.
Right.
So moved.
Is there a motion?
Second.
So moved.
Moved and second. It's been moved and second. I'll call the roll. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Mushal?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Ms. Wilkins? Ms. Wilkins?
Yes.
Thank
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Yes.
I can hear you now. Perfect. Thank you. Motion carried. Resolution 22352, resolution exercising the option to extend the contractor for an additional 1 year awarded to Maestro Technologies, Inc. for technical support services for the City of Trenton, Department of Administration, Division of Management, Information Technology System from September 16, 2022 to September 15, 2023, in an amount not to exceed $774,855, CC 2020-08.
So moved.
Second.
Second. Roll call, Ms. Caldwell Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. Mushow,
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Oh, I wanted to speak on that.
Just ask for discussion.
Okay. Oh, is up for discussion or no? Or
I
we in
said,
the vote?
all you gotta do is ask
We're
for
in the vote.
discussion. If you have discussion,
Oh,
go ahead.
we're in the vote. Doesn't matter. I don't know who
Well,
roll called this, but
You
anyway.
can- If you have
Okay.
something you wish to say, go ahead.
No, I just don't understand why this was roll called. Somebody roll called it. But anyways, I vote yes.
Okay. A yes. Ms. Wilkins,
Yes.
motion carried. Resolution 22372, resolution in recognition and appreciation of Clary Sampson, 40 years of serving the community. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Second.
Noted.
I asked for this to be roll called. I know it was Councilwoman Caldwell Wilson's recommendation that this citizen be honored. But I wanted the proclamation or the resolution to be read into the record, but it's not my resolution. So if she does not desire to have that done, then that's fine. I'm just going to vote yes.
Okay, understood. Is there any other discussion?
Can you move, Mr. Garcia, can you move it up so you can see it on the screen, please?
Sorry about that, yes.
That's okay. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion?
I just want to make sure everybody knows the wonderful work that she's done over the years. 40 years, phenomenal woman, one of the brightest and gifted people that the city has. So I want to thank her and Ms. Caldwell Wilson for doing this. It's a wonderful woman. Bottom of my heart, thank you.
Any
Mr.
additional-
Harrison, if I may.
Yes. Ms. Caldwell
Yes,
Wilson.
Ms. Sampson created the Willing Workers. They were feeding about 300 homeless people a week. And she has been part of the Willing Workers for 40 years. And she now has Clara's heart, and she serves all communities now. I mean, she just does some amazing, amazing work. So I appreciate Ms. Sampson, and I thank the council for approving this.
Any additional discussion? Hearing none. Roll call. Ms. Caldwell Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. Mushow,
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn,
Yes.
Ms. Wilkins,
Yes.
motion carried. Resolution 22360, resolution authorizing payment of $83,000 to the law office of Rainone, Coughlin, and Mincello, LLC, for services rendered for general municipal litigation and other legal matters through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 1944A 20.5, that's sec. I apologize. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Caldwell Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Harrison,
Yes.
Mr. Michelle,
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn.
Sorry, which one is this?
This is 22-360.
I'm sorry, can you I'm sorry, my screen went black out. So can you tell me what it's? Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
It's on.
Resolution authorizing a payment of $83,000 to the law office of Rainone, Coughlin, and Mincello, LLC, for services rendered for general municipal litigation and other legal matters through a fair and open process in accordance with NJSA 1944A 25 et sec.
Oh, no. I don't understand. No.
Ms. Wilkins?
No.
That's a no, I hear?
No.
I heard you. Thank you. Okay, I have 3-2. Do we need,
Does not pass.
that motion does not carry, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Motion failed.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
was that not part of the consent agenda?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
No worries. Moving on, Resolution 22-342, resolution authorizing appropriation of $750,000 from the funds allocated to the City of Trenton under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 for the implementation of COVID-19 and monkeypox testing, vaccination, and monitoring program for the City of Trenton. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
No.
Ms. Wilkins?
No.
Motion failed. Resolution 22-343, resolution accepting a bid and awarding contract to Carroll Group Incorporated for demolition on vacant abandoned structures of privately owned and city-owned properties in the city of Trenton that pose an imminent hazard in the amount not to exceed $456,530, bid 2022-47.
Could you move it up on the screen, Mr. Garcia?
So moved.
Certainly. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Ms. Wilkins?
Yes.
Motion carried. Resolution 22-364, resolution authorizing the City of Trenton to apply for an extension of time with the State of New Jersey Department of Transportation for award of contracts for West State Street between Prospect Street and Parkside Avenue. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
Yes.
Ms. Wilkins?
Yes.
Motion carried. Resolution 22-344, resolution authorizing the appropriation of $446,771 from the funds allocated to the City of Trenton under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021 for replacement of personal protective equipment for the City of Trenton Fire Department.
Oh, yeah.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
No.
Ms. Wilkins?
No.
Motion failed. Resolution 22367, resolution accepting a bid and awarding a contract to Superion LLC, a Central Square company, to provide annual maintenance and support for the integrated public safety 911 system for the Department of Police for a period of 2 years from September 1st, 2022 to August 31st, 2024, in an amount not to exceed $606,692.82, bid 2022-43. Is there a
So
motion?
moved. So moved.
I heard you. Is there a
Second.
second? Got it. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
What is this now? This is the firefighter PPE stuff, right? With the ARPA funds?
No, I believe we're on the police department now.
Oh, yes, the police department. So this emergency system, what platform is it running on? Could someone tell me what platform it's running on?
Mr. Harrison, can I talk?
Yes, Director Wilson, please. Thank you.
This is for our computer-aided dispatch system, OSSI. It's our software support for our computer-aided dispatch and maintenance
Okay.
also.
Do you know what operating system or platform it's running on?
I don't understand what you're asking me.
Is it running on, I don't know, Microsoft operating, Oracle, Google, is it running on Motorola? Like what radio system are you using?
This isn't the radios. This is our software support and our CAD system.
Okay, but it's a communication system, right? You said, right?
No, it's not our communication system. It is our software for our computer-aided dispatch system.
Okay, but dispatch, right? So it's the dispatch system runs on a network or a platform. And I'm asking, what is the manufacturer of that platform or network that it's running on? If the IT personnel on the line, maybe they can help you answer.
This comes from SunGuard, the Central
SunGuard.
Square.
Okay, SunGuard is a known. Okay, very well. That's a known. Okay, technology company. Actually, very good.
That's what
okay.
I didn't know what you were asking. Yeah, SunGuard.
Okay, very well. Okay, thank you. And my answer is yes. I mean, my vote is yes.
Noted. Ms. Wilkins? Ms.
Sorry,
Wilkins?
I couldn't unmute. Yes, yes.
Got it. Motion carried. Thank you. Ordinances. We have a first reading. Ordinance 22-29, ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property identified on the city map as of Lombard Alley between Beatty Street and Malone Street pursuant to NJSA 40A 12-14B5. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn?
1 second. I'm getting so many emails. Which one is this again? I'm sorry, Mr. Garcia. Can you tell me?
No
which one?
worries. Ordinance authorizing the sale of city-owned property identified on the city map as of Lombard Alley between Beatty Street and Malone Street pursuant to NJSA 40A 12-14B5.
Oh, yes, yes. Okay, yes.
Noted. Ms. Wilkins?
Yes. Hear me?
Yes, indeed. Motion carried. Thank you. Okay. Mr. Harrison, if you'd like to move on, I'll move to the remainder of the agenda.
Yes.
I have another window here. I apologize.
Okay.
I'm going to go from the top down. So I have Aparna. Is that correct? Did I say that correctly? Ms. Aparna?
That's fine. My first question is, my name is Ms. Chowdhury. My first question is this public comment just for that resolution or is this general public comment?
We are now into regular public comment as opposed to general public comment for the ordinance. So this is general public comment.
Okay. I can go last. I'd rather go last actually, but that's okay.
Okay. I'll have you re-raise your hand last then.
Thank you.
I have here Ms. Garrett. Ms. Cherie Garrett. Go
I
right
see
ahead.
tonight we got options, huh? Yeah, I wanted to comment on the Lombard alley. Is this the same alley that's downtown that was already gifted or sold? I'm not sure if it was sold or gifted to the church for $2,000 or $3,000. Is this the same alley? Can somebody answer me?
Mr. Garcia?
Yes.
Normally, the clerk takes notes and gets in touch with the constituent, but it's not a question and answer period.
Understood. Ms. Garrett, I'll take your question and forward that appropriately. Are we moving on? I have Miss Mary Horn.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Garcia.
Certainly.
I would just like to address the comments that were made on Tuesday in reference to the Stuyvesant Avenue project. And because I walk that way every day, every morning during our walk. So I know that the job that was done needed to have been inspected. I don't know why we don't have any striking points there. We have no lines for the road crossings there. Lines should be down the middle of the road. And I say that because there's a lot of work being done in the Union Township area. And if you saw the project, you would, it is just exemplary. They have done a great job there. And so all that's needed there on Stuyvesant Avenue, we do need lines to go down the middle of the roads. They're called strikings, and direction lines that allow people to stay on one side of the road, or or indicate where you can get over to turn, or you should be in this lane to turn. So I believe that road inspectors should come back out there and inspect that, because the job was done. It was much needed, and that was done. So a road inspector should be sent out there and address that issue. It would help with the traffic tremendously. And also, I'd like to know, where are we with the capital improvement project with the streets that are to be paved in the West Ward? I see one or two, but there is about 17 streets or maybe more. I'd like to know where we're at with that, because wintertime is approaching, and those streets need to be done. So, it's been approved. So I really would like to see those streets done. They are in dire need of being done. It has been approved. So that's it for my comments tonight in reference to streets and roads. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that has a hand up wishing to speak? I know I'm supposed to come back to Ms. Aparna. I didn't get your name. Go right ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks. My name is Ms. Chowdhury, and I'm from Greenwood Avenue. I have apartments there. And my comment was, I have a couple of comments. One is about the radio system. I think it would have been helpful to get more information about it. As a member of the public, I would like more detailed information on a $600,000 system. I know the police has a functioning CAD system, and I would like more particulars, and I don't know where to request that, but I think it should be, I think that in general, Trenton's government needs to be more transparent about hundreds of thousands of dollars being spent. What tangible, measurable improvements are being made? Not just the general system, but specifically, because there is already a functioning radio system. So I don't understand why it had to be redone. My other comment was just to continue about some of the issues. Well, I like to call attention to the policing issues. One of Trenton's police officers was recently arrested, but she was arrested in another area. She wasn't arrested here in Trenton. And most of her crimes have been done here in Trenton. She beat up Miss Call. Miss Call lost 2 teeth, and she has 2 black eyes as a result of this woman. She ripped a cell phone, I guess, out of someone who was recording her hand, and then claimed that she was assaulted by Miss Call, and then proceeded to knock out her teeth. She has pending litigation in a couple of different cases with Satara Jerkoch. She has pending litigation in a number of other situations, but she was actually arrested in Bordentown after she got into an issue with the Hamilton police. how she was dealt with and how she spoke to the police was far different from what happens here. Far different. The first thing she did was refuse to give ID. When Henderson refused to give ID, he was told he would be arrested. When Tara refused to give ID, they were very deferential with her. In fact, the police officer, and then she demanded to see a supervisor, as Henderson did. No supervisor came for Henderson, right? But Tara was able, probably because largely for racial reasons, it's not for, police privilege passes, a supervisor came. And the supervisor was not only not really holding her to accountable, but he actually told her, the first thing he said to her was, "You're going to go home. Don't be concerned. You're going to go home." The next thing he told her was, "Calm down. Nothing's going to happen." He continued to de-escalate the situation in very overt manners. Very overt manners. This is not implied de-escalation. Calm down. Things are going to be fine. Nothing's going to happen to you. You're fine. You're going to go home. I'm going to let you go. But I'm trying to understand what happened here. That was not at all close to what happened to Henderson. Tara demanded that nothing happened because she said she's a cop, and she continued to curse at the other cops there. And one of the interesting comments she made was,
Mr. Kaloji?
He said,
Yes, sir.
Are we allowed to be using people's names?
Well, this is coming from a member of the public. It would be more appropriate to speak in general terms as opposed to identifying individuals.
This is in the newspapers and public record anyway.
Right. I just wanted to get a clarification for Mr. Kaloji. Thank you, Mr. Kaloji.
But Mr. Kaloji, again, it's in public record. The body cam, everything was released in public record in the newspaper. She's not saying anything that's not already in the public record, in the public forum.
Okay, I'll defer to Ms. Vaughn's knowledge of the situation. I'm not aware of the specifics.
Yeah, it's a fact. It's all, that's how the public, that's how she's aware of it, because it was widely reported in the freaking newspaper, but everybody doesn't read, so, they wouldn't know.
And that's right.
We're still on the member of the public's time at this point. Ma'am, you have about 7 seconds
Give her
left.
her time back. Give her her time back.
Okay, I've got about 7 seconds left. I did pause it.
It was in the paper, and as far as it being part of public record and public comment, I didn't see any council members defending the women who were arrested for sex work and being quite so quick to defend them and their names being used. Tara's name is already out there, and I've been following her case for months, and I've commented about her case in the past as well. So she was
all right, ma'am.
that
is your time, ma'am. I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay, understood. Thank you, though. Thank you for being understanding. Next, I have Darren Freedom Green.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening to the council president, council members, and to the citizens who are listening of Trenton. Darren Freedom Green. First and foremost, I want to send love, respect, and condolences to Council President Ms. McBride and her family in the loss and transition of their family member in this dark hour. I wanted to speak to, and I won't make it personal because ignorance is universal, when people don't do their due diligence, research, and work. In regards to the commentary made on Tuesday in regards to redistricting. Redistricting isn't something germane to Trenton. It's something that happens in school districts across the country when you arrive at a fundamental point of really essentially having more babies than you have school space. So when we start talking about redistricting, it didn't just pop up like Pop-Tarts. We've been meeting virtually and in person since 2020. Where those council members were, I didn't see them in the meetings, and I was in the meetings, and we could take a tab of the computer videos that were taken and the sign-in sheets that existed. So again, redistricting isn't something that just arrived. The second component of redistricting is the greatest population in this city now is no longer the black babies who live here, but it is the brown Latino babies. And again, when you start talking in those terms, you have to make sure there's an allocation of funding to make sure you have bilingual teachers here in the allocation. So those resources are put in place, and you can have teachers who can teach both languages, because any of the babies that come to our schools, we want them to learn. Again, mailings were sent out since 2020. So again, when we talk about parental engagement, parental education, parental involvement, the board did its due diligence here. I was working with them. So we've had these meetings. So again, where these council members were is really the only question that exists. We've had meetings wherein, again, we had an opportunity to put our work together, and we changed 2 school names this year. I'm not sure if the council members are aware of that. They weren't at either of the ribbon cutting, but we changed school names, and now we have Dr. Crosby Copeland Jr., again, distinguished superintendent of our school system, and the amazing Elder Darlene McKnight. Both schools are named after them. We removed those names, and we're still meeting now. Love to see some of the council members in those meetings. We're coming for Kilmer and Jefferson as well. And at some point, we'll be coming for the city's name, because how dare we go into schools talking about we want our children to be liberated when they're named after people who oppressed, marginalized, and enslaved them. We also had meetings in regards to producing a brand new football field, because the state thought that it was okay to send black and brown babies to a $165 million building, but send them to keep the decrepit fields that they have. So we had a brand new track, we have a brand new football field, and again, we had an opening there of that field, and again, I did not see any of our elected officials there on this council. So again, when they ask questions and talk about redistricting, what you want to do is come participate in the work that's being done, which has been going on since 2020. And again, we're doing the work behind the scenes. We're not looking for anything.
Was approved by council.
There you go again. So again, how does that occur? And we don't again do the work on the front lines of getting things done. And I'm not sure why Mrs. Horn, who's running for council in the West Ward, would think it's okay to interject and interrupt somebody when, as a council candidate, you should always be respectful. I always respect you, ma'am. Please respect me. And again, I close out.
Mr. Green, please don't call my name in that as being respectful.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. At this time, it's Mr. Green's.
Right. And again, that's. Thank you, Clerk. But again, that is an indication of where we are as a city and why we're so comfortable with disrespect. And then we ask why our young people are comfortable fighting, killing, and destroying one another. They're learning from the adults who are here. And I would say just simply as I close, as elected officials, be careful about the words you speak into the atmosphere in regards to education, our schools, and the value system about that. Because when you make it and paint a picture that our schools are adversarial, then the young people don't value it. The parents at home don't value it. And as long as our schools fail, our city fails. Again, thank you for allowing me to speak. Have a good night.
Thank you, Mr. Green. I'm sorry, I'm looking for the name. Miss Sturgeon?
Yes, I just want to say that I am totally appalled by the comments that Councilwoman Vaughn made about Councilwoman Marge Caldwell-Wilson. Let me just say that Councilwoman Vaughn missed 2 special meetings and left another. She said she had technical difficulties. I was on the call when people were trying to reach her by her phone and texting her. Her voicemail was full. There was no reason why she couldn't have called in for her phone to get back into the meeting. And I know that people visited her home to see if she was okay, which was certainly called for, and her car wasn't even in her driveway. And just to add to that, how appalled I am for someone like Councilwoman Marge Caldwell-Wilson, who's so highly honored in her community for everything she does. And Ms. Vaughn, let me say something to you. As sitting here on these meetings, I'm appalled by the fact that you're always late to meetings, and you keep everyone in the community waiting for you to get on a call, including tonight. And calling Councilwoman Marge Caldwell-Wilson that she's not coherent, let me just tell you, we've all had to put up over these years with the rude comments you have to say, attacking age, attacking race. Just keep it going and good luck in the future. Thank you.
Are there any other raised hands? Is there anybody from the phones who wish to speak?
Yes, my name is Faith Ann Pearson.
Go ahead, Ms. Pearson.
Like the young lady said that just ended the comment, I happen to agree with her 150%. Ms. Vaughn, if she wants to run for mayor, she has not shown anything in the way of handling the council, let alone how she's going to take care of an entire city. But most of all, I am so grateful that the meetings are now coming down to be much shorter, more on point. Now on Tuesday, quite a few of the council had asked questions about some of the ordinances. That's why they were roll called. But when it came out today, they didn't ask anything pertaining to those questions. I didn't write down the questions, but I was concerned with some of them. Some of these, I don't know why you don't want to pass a ordinance pertaining to using the American Rescue Plan for COVID-19 and the monkeypox, vaccines, and testing. We need to, because now that schools are open, there's going to be another surge possibly, and we don't need that in the city. We did it 2-3 years ago. We don't need to have a repeat. Pertaining to the school board, yes, the school board needs to be elected officials, not appointed. We got to get away from this, oh, if you do this for me, I'll do that for you. This pay to play has got to stop in the city. Also, I want to see to it that everyone on the city council, as well as the residents, understand if you don't open up your mouth and challenge, whether it's a city council member or a person walking down the street, it's going to continue to go further and further behind and down. The only way to bring the city up, along with the demolition of the buildings, is for us as residents to get out there, challenge people, ask questions, and get the truth, and then go vote. If we don't vote, we're just telling the people what we already are dealing with is just going to carry on for another 4 years. We need to get the people out to vote and vote appropriately for the proper individuals that is going to bring the city out of the gutter and up to the penthouse. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other members of the public that wish to speak? I hear none at this time. Mr. Harrison.
Mr. Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Manuel, Kaja Manuel has his hand
Oh,
up.
I'm sorry. I see it now. I do apologize. Thank you.
It's all
Go ahead,
good, sir. Yes, I just wanted to briefly make some comments on some comments that I heard earlier, not too long ago. It's my belief that basically the city has an accessibility issue. I think during last week's, the meeting earlier this week, I was held earlier this week, I don't think it was really the redistricting that was the issue. It was the lack of parental input and or control or say in the decision to move kids who, for example, live near Downley Homes and then send them to a school that's in the West Ward by 29. I think Trenton has a serious accessibility issue. Usually the ones who do attend the inconvenient meetings that are held in the middle of the day are those who either A, run in those same circles with people who sit on the boards, or those who work in the school system so they know, oh, I was at this meeting. I know when it was. It wasn't because you saw a flyer or got an email. It wasn't because you got, something that came home with your child from school. It was because you knew someone who either facilitated the meeting or someone in the system. And that's normally what goes on in this town. If you're in the know, you're in the know. And if you're not, you don't know what goes on. And I agree with the caller who spoke before me. What we see now going on with our school board of education, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked in terms of, a financial responsibility standpoint. It hasn't worked in terms of grade point averages, percentile, the percentage of students who go to college after they graduate. Newark is far more worse than us when it comes to the disenfranchisement, the poverty rate compared to us. And they outperform us virtually in every category. They have more students who go to college or secondary school. The graduation rate's higher. And they're also have an elected school board. While moving to a type 2 school board doesn't fix everything, there are only 14 school boards in the state, 14 out of 601 that are appointed. And some of those that are still appointed are failing. Trenton is one of those school boards that are failing. Now, that doesn't mean our teachers and our educators aren't trying hard. Our board members aren't trying hard. You can try hard and give it all you've got, and it still does not work. It hasn't worked. What we do know is that if we move to a new system, or at least try something different, then different outcomes may arise. It's just the way we do it hasn't worked. And we have a chance to really make something change here. This November, we can move from a type 1 to a type 2 school district, be the 602nd school district in the state to move to a type 2 school district, and grades may improve. I think it's worth a try. But to put the onus on the residents constantly, well, they don't show up. I have kids in my home that are siblings who still go to public schools here in Trenton. My mother hasn't found out about anything. She didn't know. I'd like to think I'm pretty civically engaged. I didn't know. And I'm running for council, and I'm pretty active on social media. I'm a millennial. I'm on every app. I didn't see a flyer. I didn't see anything. So I asked those people who did go, how many people went there with you? Did you bring anybody else with you when you went? When you went to the Zoom call that was probably inconveniently scheduled? That's what goes on in this town. The meetings get scheduled, 10 people show up, and they're scheduled in the break of dawn in the middle of the day to working class individuals who may not be able to join a 30-minute Zoom in the middle of their shift. It's a real issue here. And to keep putting the onus on the residents is wrong. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manuel. I have I see here, Coop, is that Mr. or Ms. Cooper? Go right ahead.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Yvette Graphic Cooper. I am the health officer for the city of Trenton. I just want to, this is for the public, just to clear up some misconception about monkeypox and how individuals can get the monkeypox. I know that in the beginning, they had put it out that it was more susceptible to the LGBTQ community, but I would just like to let everyone know that monkeypox you can have monkeypox by having direct contact, skin-to-skin contact, but that's not the only way you can get it. You can have contact with objects, clothing, bedding, towels, or surfaces used by someone with monkeypox. You could also get that from respiratory droplets or oral fluids from a person with the monkeypox. And monkeypox can spread from the time symptoms starts until all the sores have healed. The illness can last anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, and the rash appears within 1 to 3 days, sometimes longer, after the fever. So some of the symptoms from monkeypox are early flu-like symptoms. The monkeypox can also include fever, headache, muscle aches, back aches, swollen lymph nodes, chills, and exhaustion. So I just want everyone to just be mindful and be careful when it comes to the monkeypox. You may not see the individuals walking the streets because these rashes can appear anywhere on your body, from your face, hands. It's not limited to any body surface, and these lesions are extremely painful. The only reason is we are talking about this is because the incubation period is not as it is for COVID. COVID was 14 days. This is 28 days, a minimum of 28 days. And if someone is a person that does not heal within those 28 days, you're still considered contagious until the rash that you have is scabbed over and new skin is forming. I just wanted to let everyone know, because the misconception is that you have to be a part of a certain group in order to get it, and anyone can get it. We do have infants that have monkeypox, and you can also pass it from pregnant moms to their infant during delivery. So just be mindful, be vigilant, and we do have our clinics open. If you've been exposed to anyone with monkeypox, we are open at 828 North Olden Avenue on Tuesdays from 10 to 3, Wednesdays and Thursdays from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m., and on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. If you've been exposed, you could just call our office to make an appointment to be vaccinated. And that number is 609-989-3242, extension 115. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak? I believe I'm hearing none. I'm seeing no new hands. I have no new hands up. Mr. Harrison, on your call, if you'd like to go to civic comment.
Yes, please go to civic comment, starting with Councilwoman Wilkins.
Good evening, everyone. First, I want to thank everyone for taking their time out, of course, to come on the call. Everyone could always be doing something else, but it's important to remain civically engaged. And I just wanted to speak to just a few things this evening. I don't want to hold anyone longer. I recall Miss Faith Ann Pearson saying that, the meetings are shorter now, and I know that everyone's time is valuable, as is ours. It's just that sometimes, we try to continue and make sure that the business of the city is done, and sometimes the time can escape us. So, but I want to thank everyone again just for coming. First and foremost, I just wanted to also speak on what I heard a couple of residents state with regards to being informed. Being informed and having information is key, because if you are unaware, how can you be held responsible for something that you are unaware about? Believe it or not, this council doesn't always have the privy of knowing everything, every event, every celebratory moment that's going on in the city. For the most part, the council is engaged on social media, but we do rely heavily on organizations and even the administration to inform us when events take place with regards to the city itself, whether it's regarding the school system, whether it's regarding other events. We have entertainment events that we have throughout the city, but we really depend on Facebook, Instagram, social media, Twitter, things of that nature, in order to kind of be informed about these things. And sometimes there are times when we hear about it after the fact. There are times when we hear about it when it's actually going on. There are a lot of times that the council isn't informed. I wanted to put it out there because there are many events that I would have attended, but just not knowing or being made aware of it. So I just wanted to clarify that. The second thing I wanted to state was with regards to the resolution for the COVID-19 and the monkeypox. Ms. Graffy Cooper gave valuable information with regards to what can be done, what anyone needs to do if you come in contact with monkeypox. And we all know about COVID-19 because we are just getting out of the pandemic. But it's important that not only the city provide the resource for you to have, for the public and the residents to have access to this, we have to do it, we have to do it in the right way. We had asked for information with regard to the COVID-19 and taking monies, and the monkeypox, I'm sorry, and they're taking monies to utilize the ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act funds. We were never given clarification. We were supposed to actually have information this evening with regards to if we can utilize the monies and set aside the monies to use for monkeypox, because during the time of the American Rescue Plan Act, monkeypox wasn't even not existent, meaning that the disease didn't always exist, but it wasn't in existent, meaning that the general public weren't aware that it was becoming an issue, a pandemic, and it was being spread from person to person. You okay, Mr. Kaloji?
I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. But we weren't aware of that. We weren't aware that this monkeypox, this newly spoken about disease throughout the city of Trenton, Mercer County, state of New Jersey, and all over the world, actually, it wasn't in existence. And the federal government didn't set aside monies for that particular disease. We have to be very mindful and very careful that when we are voting to spend money for different areas of what's requested, that we're doing it correctly, legally, and wisely. But because we didn't have clarification, we couldn't move forward to vote and say yes. There is in no way, and I can't speak for my other council members, but I'm going to, in this particular instance, no way we would want any harm to be done to any resident of this city. No one. But we cannot move properly if we don't have the proper information. there are times when people are like, why did you vote no, or why are you voting adversary to this? It's because a lot of times some things have to be clarified. We have to have the proper information in order to move so that we aren't moving incorrectly. Because if we move incorrectly and we spend ARP funds and COVID-19 funds on monkeypox, and then the federal government, we go in to get reimbursements or however the process works, or send in information for reports, and then they say, well, we didn't give you permission to use for XYZ, and say you're going to have to pay that back. That goes onto the backs of the taxpayers. Well, whose responsibility was it? It was ours. But it's also the administration's to inform us, to let us know when we ask for information, we need it to make conscientious decisions and make wise decisions so that it doesn't fall back on the taxpayers. So I just wanted to clarify that. And for the most part, we have an obligation to you as the residents. And we have to do it to the best of our abilities. And that's what I'm going to do. But I have to do it in a responsible manner of being informed. Thank you, Mr. Harrison.
You're welcome. Next, Miss Councilwoman Vaughn.
Yes, I will just say that a couple of things. Yes, information is power. Information is power. Quote Michael Douglas in the movie Wall Street, but information is power. And that is a fact. And they're in urban areas like Trenton. It's just historically known as a proven fact that we don't get adequate and proper media coverage. We don't get the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Star Ledger covering us. We get some quasi-tabloid newspaper that targets people of color and print us negatively. It never prints the importance of what's going on in the city, like a tax increase that's going to affect the residents, a tax increase that's coming out of our school district that many of our residents just spoke about, that's problematic. And I don't hear any of the individuals who spoke about the flaws in the personality of Councilwoman Vaughn ever speaks about how our school district can be improved. The ineffective managers who are over there doing what they're doing or not doing. No one is speaking about the $24 million that's about to be imposed upon this city. And no one is even questioning the mayor who unilaterally governs the type 1 school district because it's a type 1. They don't report to the council. No one's questioning how that $24 million is going to be utilized. No one. But we're too busy worrying about whether or not a part-time councilwoman making $20,000 a year when she comes to council meetings. You all should be ashamed of yourselves, because the problems in this city has a lot to do with the select few who chooses to turn a blind eye to the serious matters, the fiscal matters of this city. The fact that under this administration, no one has come to this council and even inquired about the status of the FBI subpoena. Okay? But you guys want to support
recording in progress.
The police department come into my house to kick down my door. Okay? So, and no one says anything about that. But I wish you would come to my house and kick down my door. I wish you would. Isn't that what happened to Breonna Taylor? And not one person. Shame on all the 3 women who sat here and think that was okay. If I don't come to a council meeting, that's my prerogative. That's my choice. I don't remember anybody since I've been on this 4-year council. I remember Councilwoman McBride, Councilman Michelle, miss many meetings, leave meetings. I remember our former Councilman Jarrell Blakely came in and out of meetings. No one proposed to go to his house and kick down his door. Now, I'm going to put that on the record. Okay? So that's a disgrace. And everybody in the city who did not speak against that and challenge that should be ashamed of themselves. And for that, you have nothing to say to me. You can't say anything to me. You can't judge me. You better judge your counterparts and your friends who proposes such atrocities and such violence against somebody. But I'm not the one. I'm not the one. Wrong one. Wrong one. So all I'm going to say is that additionally, we should be paying attention to where were all of you folks talking about all the photo ops that they attend. But no one showed up at the St. Francis Forum, the St. Francis Medical Forum, St. Francis Hospital Medical Center Forum, about how Capitol Health is going to acquire it and pretty much of a hostile takeover. And then many Trentonians are going to lose their jobs, and important medical services will leave the community. No one talks about those things. No one talks about the 4.5 unemployment rate that's in the city of Trenton that's been under Mayor Gus Eor's watch with his FBI subpoenas and his state of New Jersey commission investigation. And you want to minimize those. But you want to highlight my flaws. My flaws aren't criminal. My flaws are not stealing the taxpayers' money. My flaws is not accountability. So the least that I have done is come to a council meeting late, but I don't take millions of dollars out of the city and never see it again and give it to my friends and influencers. But I don't see certain council members talking about these things because I believe and I know they don't talk about them because they don't impact a certain population, and we know who that population is. And don't think I'm afraid to say it because I'm not. And you know it. So I'm sure in the coming weeks, we're going to hear a lot about how certain populations have benefited from the corruption and others it has been fatal for. I mean, you see the lack of security in our streets. Families lost husbands and sons to gunfire, and no response from this administration. You got people in jobs that have no experience, not even qualified. A patronage job for a party. To be ashamed. So a lot of things need to be changed in this city. We need to get proper personnel. We need to get qualified people to do these important jobs. People never trained for certain jobs come out of nowhere, and all of a sudden, they're the UEZ coordinator. The UEZ coordinator never had an experience in that, and they get that job. The job should have been posted. Ensure that a qualified person gets in it. And I want to know, I get complaints over at the water department, from the water department every day. We got lawsuits up the wazoo from people complaining about sexual harassment, everything in the workplace. So do not come to this council meeting, so long as I'm in this chair, and tell me about me being late, and you don't say nothing about the kids in the poor performance school district, or the folks who are getting shot, or police department who's going to come to a councilwoman's house at the direction of the de facto police director, Councilman George Michelle, who everybody in the city knows his history. knows that man's history. And you clap to that, and you stay silent to that. And then you're going to tell lies and try to undermine my integrity and my performance and slander me, Caldwell Wilson. And don't think for a minute, for every lawsuit you can lodge against me, I can raise lawsuits too. Don't think that you're the only one who can raise a lawsuit. Ridiculous. Okay? I could do the same thing. I have the same powers and weapons as well. Raise one up against me, I'll raise it back. Who do you think you are? Bunch of nobodies. And do nothing. Do nothing. I got 38 seconds. Boom, I keep my own time. So I got 33 seconds. So what else I want to say? Yeah, so I can't wait to hear about the results of the FBI subpoenas. A lot of criminality in the city, and because of the lack of accountability, the lack of responsibility, we see the results of the city in every space, in every discipline, from public works to the police department to the fire department. No results. My time is up. Thank you. Because of corruption. Thank you.
Councilman Michelle.
Yes, thank you. I just want to tell you, you did a good job for coming in that moment to take over the meeting. If you look at the time, we did very well. Going back about kicking your door in, Ms. Vaughn, yeah, I'm the one that said it. Kick your door in because it was for your security. The way you came on and you looked in the screen, it came in from the DCA. Mr. Gonzalez noticed. You freaked out. We did that for the better of your health. Okay? We were concerned that possibly something tragically happened to you. So I did put it out.
Call the ambulance. You don't send no police officer to my house to kick down my door. Call the ambulance.
First of all, I'm talking. I didn't bother you. I didn't bother you.
Mr. Harrison.
Yes, please do not interrupt. Let him speak. Thank you.
It is Mr. Harrison's time. Go ahead.
First of all, I'm the one, and I own up to it. First of all, for 40 years as a police officer, if you're not there and you can't answer the door, you call the fire department, you enter the second floor window. And if you can't get in the second floor window, if you feel your life's in danger, yeah, the door does get kicked in. And it's a shame I wasn't there because I would have kicked the door in to save your life. Trust me, I would have did everything possible to save your life. And go forward on there. We had the firemen who need this gear. Again, two of the council people voted it down. Why would you ever do that? These are the people who come out to your house to save your life. And then you vote it down again and again and again. For what reason? They should have the best of the best. My whole career that I'm in there, over 13 years as council people, we made sure that the fire department and police department had the equipment second to none to serve the 96 or 86,000 people in the city of Trenton. But boy, it's awful funny. The three individuals keep voting everything down. For what reason? What reason? You're putting these guys' lives in danger, and we're worried about kicking your door in to save you? Give me a break on that. And going back for St. Francis Hospital, you made a phone call in. You did call in. But the mayor was sitting right there. So when you say the mayor wasn't there, you're wrong. You're wrong. And 98% of everything you put out, you're wrong. Okay? But nobody wants to challenge you. Nobody wants to hear you run your jibs. And that's the way it is. And we got 4 months left. If you want to move the city forward, sit down and listen and behave like a councilwoman should. Thank you very much. And once again, thank you, Mr. Harrison, for everything you did for tonight to move this meeting forward. Thank you.
Councilwoman Caldwell-Wilson?
I have no comments at this time. Thank you.
Oh my God.
As my comments tonight, my civic comments tonight, exactly like Councilman Michelle said, regarding the fire apparatus, I have a huge concern here. The men and the women of the fire department, their equipment needs to be replaced, and I'm not sure what we're doing here. I think this is a big, big mistake that we did not approve this. This equipment needs to be replaced. It's out. Like I said, I'm baffled why this didn't get approved. At the end of the day, like I said, people make their choices. I think that was to me personally, I think this equipment is greatly needed by the men and women of the fire department. Like I said, I'm grateful to everybody tonight who spoke their concerns. I give my blessings out to Councilwoman McBride's family. I'm so sorry about the loss of her brother. So my prayers go out to the family. Like I said, we're working on St. Francis. We were at the meeting on Monday, 11 a.m. Miss Vaughn was on the computer. The mayor was there, and I was there. But it was, like I said, it was held not even in the East Ward. We need to have meetings close to the hospital. We need to get the public involved. We need the businesses around there, how they're going to be affected. The people are concerned, and I'm concerned. At the end of the day, I'm concerned about people's health care. I'm concerned that, businesses are going to be affected because you have that many employees not there in that hospital. So at the end of the day, like I said, this was a good example tonight of us at least working together and getting through the docket at a reasonable time. So I want to thank my colleagues. I want to thank the public. And at the end of the day, we all love the city of Trenton. So let's just keep moving forward and do the best that we can. And thank you, Mr. Garcia. Thank you, Mr. Kaloji. Thank you for your help. And I appreciate it. And thank you to everybody else that was on the meeting tonight. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Right. Good. Could you make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call. Ms. Caldwell-Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Harrison?
Yes.
Mr. Michelle?
Yes.
Ms. Vaughn? Ms. Vaughn?
Vaughn.
Have we lost Ms. Vaughn? Ms. Wilkins? Ms. Wilkins?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can now. Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Motion carried. Meeting adjourned. I have 7:13. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you all. Good evening.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Take care all.